When you're reading the cards, you simply need to tune into your intuition, whether that's for a self-reading or when reading for another person. Intuition isn't something only certain people have. We are all intuitive. We just need to use our intuition, and that's what strengthens it. So when you're reading intuitively, trust what you feel when you look at the cards. The cards aren't providing you with the answers. You are. The cards are just giving you a visual image to look at to spark that intuition into action. You can read intuitively using colours, symbols, people, animals, numbers, anything at all. The universe is bursting with signs and symbols, and the cards represent some of those signs. Tip number 1, release expectations. When you're reading the cards, it's absolutely key that you release any expectations you have in terms of what you might be wanting to see in the cards or what you might not want to see. Have absolutely no expectation whatsoever around the answers you'll receive. If you do, you'll bring your own bias into the reading, and that can influence the card you select and the messages you think you're seeing. So coming to a really neutral place before you conduct a reading so that you don't skew the results. Tip number 2, acknowledge jumping cards. It's important to acknowledge any cards that seem to jump out of the deck whilst you're shuffling. That is, unless you just drop half the deck on the floor. But when a single card flips over whilst you're shuffling, or a card flies out of the deck, then I would recommend you include that card in your reading. Now, you don't have to put the card into one of the positions of the spread, just put it to one side, but bear it in mind as you conduct the reading. If any more than a couple of cards jump out, then they're probably not worth including in your reading, but jumping cards are usually trying to deliver an important message to you, so it is worth bearing them in mind. Tip 3, take a step back. When you've put all your cards on the table, stand back and look at the spread as a whole before you look at the cards individually. Notice what themes you see in the cards, if there's a lot of a certain colour, or if there are several cards with a similar symbol. What could that mean? So try and relax your mind and allow any words to pop into your head or any feelings to arise in your body, and then you can focus on the individual cards. Tip 4, notice what jumps out straight away. So notice what immediately jumps out at you when you view the individual cards. And that's the same tip for when you're looking at the whole spread and when you view the individual cards. So notice what kind of jumps out at you straight away. What object is calling out to you? And then notice what size it is and where it's placed on the card. Is it in the foreground? Is it in the background? What could that mean? If it's a person that jumps out straight away, what's their expression? What's their body language? What might that be telling you? What colours do you notice straight away when you look at the card? Does one in particular jump out? Or numbers or symbols? Notice the stuff that's really shouting at you as soon as you start looking at the cards. Tip 5, the interaction between the cards. So notice how each card appears to interact with the cards next to it, or if a card doesn't seem to interact with another card, what does that mean? I talked about what it could mean if you see people on the cards in terms of how they interact with the other people, but also notice any other interactions, similarities, differences. Do the cards seem to flow, or are they very individual? This helps to build the story of what's happening in your life. And tip 6, deep dive into the card. So you've released your expectations, you've acknowledged any jumping cards, you've had a broad look at the cards, and you've noticed what immediately jumps out. Then you've had a look at the interaction between the cards. Finally, you'll want to take a deep dive into the card's detail. This is where you really want to inspect the card and get all the detail you can from it. Have a look at any symbolism that may feature in the card. Tarot decks often have lots of it. Symbols can be things like swords, cups, coins, sticks, keys, animals, wheels, all sorts of things. Also check to see if there are any symbols on the clothing of the people in the card. And symbols can be things like clouds. Notice if there are any dark clouds in the card, or light fluffy clouds, or perhaps it's a really bright sunny day. Even that can tell you a lot about your feelings. If you've ever done any work with the elements, for example, if you've done spells or cleansing rituals with fire, earth, air and water, then you'll know broadly what the elements represent. Or you might be familiar with star signs and astrology. There are 3 fire signs, 3 water signs, 3 air signs and 3 earth signs, and generally speaking, each element has a particular meaning. So fire means action, passion, energy and anger and forward movement. And with astrology, the fire signs are the people who are passionate, action-oriented, good leaders. They can be confrontational, and they're the go-getters of the zodiac. Earth means being grounded, like with the saying, being down to earth, and it represents steadiness, strong foundations, being calm and gentle. It can also represent money and property, and in astrology the earth signs are the ones who are known to be the ones who have the biggest focus on work and money and material possessions. Air means the intellect and the mind, and it can represent somebody being in their head a lot, so this would be deep thinkers, people who are aloof, intelligence, people who are sociable, and in astrology the air signs are the people who are really good communicators, as they're usually sociable, they're smart, they're quick thinking, but they can come across as a bit emotionally cold because they're in their heads a lot. Water represents the emotions, being in flow, peace and serenity, and dreams. And the water signs are the most emotional people of the zodiac. They're family oriented, they don't like confrontation or upset because they like peace. They're quite go with the flow, and they're less action oriented. They're very creative, and they can dream up some wonderful things because they've got good imagination. So if you're familiar with the signs of the zodiac or the 4 elements of fire, earth, air and water, you can apply that knowledge to your intuitive card readings. You'll often see the elements being represented in tarot cards. Water is an obvious one, and you'll very often see water on the card. Fire will sometimes be represented by fire, or you might see a lot of red or orange in the card. Air in tarot is represented by swords, or you might see clouds on the card, which could represent air. And earth could be represented by hills or fields or plants. And coins are also used to represent earth because coins are money, and money relates to the element of earth. When it comes to people being featured on tarot cards, there's a lot of information we can get. If the person on your card is looking to their left, that indicates they're thinking about the past. That might mean they're not able to let go of the past and that they're still being affected by it. If the person on your card is looking straight ahead, as if they're looking at you, then they're anchored in the present moment and they're focused on the here and now. And if the person on your card is looking to the right, that indicates they're thinking about the future and what they want to happen. Now, I've learnt tarot with multiple teachers over the years. Some taught me intuitive tarot and some taught me the traditional method, but they all taught me that the left represents the past and the right represents the future. So we can apply that rule when it comes to the direction people are looking in when they're on the cards. So if there's a person on your card, have a look at their face and which direction they're looking in, and you can tell a lot about how they're feeling and where they're focused. In terms of the gender of the person on the card, don't pay too much attention to this. If you're looking to establish what type of qualities your partner can bring to your relationship, and your partner is male, and you pull a card with a female on it, that could mean that your male partner has some more feminine qualities. Now, the feminine qualities include creativity, sensitivity, the ability to nurture, the ability to be receptive. Feminine qualities have nothing to do with being female. I know many men with feminine qualities and many women with masculine qualities, so don't take the gender of the person on the card too literally, but focus instead on what your intuition is telling you.